Oh, man. Don't. All right, man, look. So, what happened to the American heavyweight? Whoops. All right, man, look. Let's get to the video. First, I want to say this. I decided to do this video in the gazebo today. Beautiful day today, and I just didn't feel like being in my office in the dark. Felt too much like work. I probably should have made this a live stream. But I got a request to do this video by one of our show business partners in our community, asking me, ShowBizz the adult, what happened to the American heavyweight? Meaning, the American heavyweights isn't deep, okay? And we haven't really had a heavyweight to capture the imagination of the world the way Iron Mike Tyson did. We haven't had one since, really. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder is the closest thing we had to it. Between then, Evander Holyfield, he definitely was a big money maker, a warrior, getting long in the tooth, though. Him and Iron Mike Tyson existed at the same time. Same with Lennox Lewis, but Lennox Lewis was really UK, okay? And we had the heavyweights from Germany and UK, and just really not from the States, okay? And the question is, what happened? ShowBizz the mug, if you don't get your black two sugars. Another thing I want to cover before I get into that is I received some gifts in the mail, okay, from one of our show business partners, Canadapp Studio. You all know them as the developers of Hard Knock Nights Live. Sent me some things. One thing I'm going to open for you guys is, and this is just perfect for this video, action figures. Muhammad Ali versus Kal-El, Superman. Let me get my black two sugars though. Black two sugars. And that just lets you know, okay, American heavyweights. Look at Ali. They got him fighting Superman, okay? You guys know that I am a huge fan of that comic. I have the original print signed by the artist. Well, it's a copy of the print. I don't want to say it's the original print. It's a copy of the print. And I have the hardcover edition of the comic book. So here's the case. A beautiful case. On one side, you have the greatest Muhammad Ali. On the other side, you have Kal-El. Okay, Superman. Let's take this out. I should have sung Won't You Believe My Neighbor? I should have sung it because this really feels like a episode of Mr. Rogers here. Oh, look at this. Yeah. Oh, so they got the ring in the back, okay, as the cardboard backsplash. And you're more than likely you're going to see this once I get these guys open. Oh, okay, look, real cloth. The cape, that's dope. They got the hands, interchangeable hands for Kal-El and for Muhammad Ali. That's dope. Let's pull out one of these guys. Pause. I know this is what makes boxing fun. Back in the day, which was a Wednesday, by the way. No, that's an old Dane Cook joke. Back in the day, boxing used to be the #1 sport, which is going to go into my argument for where's the American heavyweight. Boxing was actually rated over baseball, American baseball, back in the 40s and the 50s, around when Rocky Marciano was heavyweight champion and Joe Louis and all those guys. If I can just, oh, this is still twisted. Oh, on both of them. To be the heavyweight world champion, the champ is here. That was one heck of an accomplishment. Look at this. Look at the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Rest in peace to you. You're the greatest, man. I like how it looks like it comes out of the comic book, how the shading goes around the muscles. I'm definitely going to have a very cool pose for Muhammad Ali. That's pretty dope. I really like it. Look at the shoes. Point of articulation is pretty good, even with the toes. Pretty dope. Let's see. Let's take out Superman here. Come on, Kal-El. Fun fact. ShowBizz the Kid. I'm not sure if you all know this. I know my members do. ShowBizz the Kid, my son. His actual name is Kal-El. Okay, and a lot of you know that I'm a huge comic book geek. So I love comic books. Man, this is really giving me a hard time here. But yeah, like I said, capturing the imagination, the heavyweight champion was something else. Okay, for you to have your own comic book, Muhammad Ali standing above the rest, for sure. But the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis, was nothing to sneeze at. Jack Dempsey, okay, being the first boxer with $1 million purse. Nothing to sneeze at back then. Jack Johnson, what he accomplished, and the barriers he broke, just being the heavyweight champion, known as the baddest man on the planet, pretty much. Oh man, look at Kal-El. Look at Kal-El. Look at the shading. He doesn't have much muscles in the arms. That's pretty dope. Look at kind of thin in the arm. Look at the hair, the blue hair, the curl. The eyes look kind of closed. That's how his eyes were traditionally in the comics. If you all know, his eyes are kind of squinty and closed. That's pretty dope. Same points of articulation for him. No, actually, no. He doesn't have it on the toes. Just the ankles. That's sick. I love it. I love it. So thank you very much. But yeah, I'm going to be posting those guys in the back. You're going to see them on the desk, maybe somewhere around Iron Mike Tyson, my action figure there. But yeah, I mean, to have a comic book like that just lets you know the heavyweight champion was something else. So when you think about it, a young boy, big kid, okay, what is he going to be in life? And, you know, you're definitely going to grab this kid and say, hey man, this kid, there's going to be an uncle, there's going to be a father somewhere, you know, just salivating at the mouth looking at him as far as what he can do on a football field, or do as you know, a basketball player, or do as a boxer, fighter, or hockey, whatever it is. You're looking at him and you say he could be a few things. Okay, does heavyweight champion comes to mind, and I'm talking about in a modern day sense. You look at this young boy, strapping young boy, and it looks like he's going to be a big kid, and you say, man, where should I put him? And you start going through all the list of things, okay, and you say, well, they're starting to hand out scholarships to go to universities at around 8th grade. Say, well, man, he could probably go to you know, some league where there is a, you know, some sort of, you know, there's stocks and there's pension plans and there's all these things that can help. Endorsements come pretty easily. The way the agents kind of move there, your level of education going through a 4-year university or what have you, you still have that as a foundation. You could be in the university for a year, go straight pro, 2 years, then go pro, or maybe the whole 4 years and then go pro, but at least you have your education. You look at all those things and then you say, well, one of those sports in comparison to, let's say, being a heavyweight champion, okay? And you look at the heavyweight champion and you see that, okay, what happens to him after he's done with boxing? Well, boxing is done with him, right? Look at these guys, and they have to make their own way pretty early. You have fighters retiring at 35, 36 years old, 40 years old. That's young. That's a young man, relatively speaking. Okay, old in the sport, but he's young. Where do we put the heavyweight champion? Okay, you have not too many options here. And I think that's what kind of happened. What was the difference between the heavyweight champion in the 1950s in comparison to the heavyweight champion now, or a big kid in the 1950s who's tough, athletic, in comparison to a big kid now? What kind of options he has? In the 1950s, when you think of boxing in comparison to football, let's say football players, they were going to the game after work. Being a football player wasn't your primary way of earning money. A lot of these guys had another job. They were just tough guys. Drink a beer after work and then go play in the game. Okay, and it was televised to get their teeth knocked out or whatever, and then they're back on the job. There was no comparison. The heavyweight champion, Joe Louis, I mean, there was no comparison there. You don't have a helmet covering up your head and your face. You don't have, it's not a team sport. You are the man. Though you have a team with you, the heavyweight champion is the baddest man on the planet. And let's define that. Why would the heavyweight champion be considered the baddest man on the planet? It's simple. A great big man, theoretically, is better than a great small man. Okay, so the greatest big man would be a great heavyweight champion. So he is considered the baddest man on the planet. So when you look at that, there was no comparison back in the 50s on where would you want your tough kid, where would you want him to be. And then all of a sudden, after, let's say Rocky Marciano and those boys, Jack Dempsey or whatever, you have Cassius Clay, better known as and later known as, changed his name to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, the way he captivated the audience, who didn't want to be Muhammad Ali? So that's how you had all these great heavyweights in the 90s, okay? And you had Iron Mike Tyson, mid-80s, had his own video game, and he's the last one. After that, poof. Well, that's because the NFL started really competing. The NBA, you got Michael Jordan. You got Dominique Wilkins, and you got Hakeem Olajuwon, and you got those boys. You starting to look at those heroes and say, man, I want to be like them. Larry Bird, you want to be like them. Joe Montana, you want to be like them too, right? So that's what happened. Boxing started to compete. And then on top of that, it really just snowballed into being a no-brainer when you have fantasy sports, the fantasy football, fantasy baseball, fantasy basketball. You have those things really raising the popularity of those sports in competition of boxing. Then poof, boxing becoming a heavyweight champion is no longer the number one thing to be. The number one thing to be is probably an NFL quarterback or maybe a shooting guard for, the Warriors, right? For the Lakers or something like that. That becomes the dream of this kid and of this kid's family who sees this little boy now. Now the uncle's looking at him and he's like, full of joy saying, man, look at my nephew. Look how big he is. What can he be? You have the father looking at him saying the same thing and trying to convince the mother, look, man, look what we have. We got the ticket here. They don't think boxing now. They don't think boxing now. They think football. They think basketball. They think baseball. They think sports that can provide them with something pretty early on to let them know that their future's set, that it's cemented, that they have a great foundation. And I'm not saying that American football is perfect. I'm not saying American baseball or American basketball is perfect. But it seems to be, okay, the safer route as far as what happens leading up to becoming a pro and what happens after being a pro, okay? Seems as if there's more security there when it comes to your future. Now, I can admit that everyone who, retires from basketball, they don't leave rich and wealthy. A lot of people, it's up to them, their self-responsibility as well. They kind of throw their money away and stuff like that, and it happens in football. And I don't think American football has completely figured out the concussion thing, right? But making health advancements, definitely. And there's a huge awareness as far as rules changing and stuff like that. And speaking of the rules, you have the NFL, you have the NBA, and when I say NBA, it makes me think about not really the National Basketball Association in this sense, but the National Boxing Association. This magazine gifted to me, and I've been reading this Ring magazine, okay, January edition, 1957. They had an article in here. What is the NBA? Meaning the National Boxing Association, okay? And the National Boxing Association was really, it didn't hold any jurisdiction over boxing. It was more of a conversational type of influential association. All right. And now we know what the NBA is. It's no longer the NBA. Now it's the WBA, the World Boxing Association. We know what the WBA is. But at the time, before they were the WBA, they were the NBA, started in 1922, I believe. And they were on their way in trying to become a governing body over the entire sport. Now, we all know that didn't really happen. And we have other sanctioning bodies, you know, who emerged. You have the WBC, you have the IBF, WBO came later. I think WBC was second. Fact check me on this. But that's what we need. We need a national boxing association. Yeah, it can't be, the acronym can't be the NBA. But maybe one of these sanctioning bodies, the WBC, maybe the WBA, WBO, whoever, the IBF, or whoever is aggressive enough, or maybe have that much influence, probably should do what the NBA was talking about doing in this magazine. Having jurisdiction over the sport. Being able to not just provide influence, but rules to help make the sport more safe. We all know in 2019, you know, we had many deaths in the sport of boxing. We need rules. And I know there's been sanctioning bodies adding rules. WBC has been very, very in the front of those rule changes and, you know, PEDs and the whole VADA and the random testing and all those things, yes. But we can't have a situation like what happened with Danny Jacobs, okay, and ShowBizz Jr., all right, where ShowBizz Jr., he didn't comply. He didn't take the drug test, and he missed weight, all those things, and he just went over to Phoenix and was able to fight Danny Jacobs. We need a governing body, things that can send that signal to that father, to the uncle, to the cousin, to the family of this offspring, this son who's looking to be a Hercules, and say, hey man, boxing can provide something safe. Before I go, I want to say this. I was also gifted something pretty old, okay? Not as old as me. But it was the ringside boxing series. You see Lennox Lewis on the front. And what it is it's a pack of cards, okay? The ringside boxing cards. I actually remember these. And no, it's not Flair, and no, it's you know, it's not Upper Deck. It's not you know, none of those things, okay? But it's ringside, and this is the entire pack from, what is this? 1996, I think. I think it's 1996. And this pack of cards are unopened. All right. So let's open one. And I think I'm going to start implementing this a little bit on my channel. Every so often I'll open a pack of cards. And I think that can raise the popularity of the sport. We don't have trading cards like we used to. Remember how fun this was? You get a pack of cards that's unopened, right? And you go to open it, see what you got. Let's try it out here. I may have to use my teeth on this one. Yep. There you go. I haven't done this in a long time. Now I buy my cards single, never in a pack. Alfred Cole. Remember? Wow. What else we have? Oh, a throwback card of Max Schmeling. That's pretty cool. Wow. Throwback card. Jack Johnson. That's pretty cool. Ha! Look at this. A spotlight in the ring card. Don King with Bruce Seldon. We all remember Bruce Seldon. What happened there? All right, Mike Tyson. Oh my God. Ringside. James Toney. Maybe a keeper there. Oh, one of my favorite heavyweights, Alex Stewart. I bring him up all the time. Look at him. That was a bad boy. What? Joe Hip. Now I don't think I've mentioned Joe Hip in a while. Guess who we have? Robert Garcia. We know who he is, right? Big brother trainer Mikey Garcia, Ramirez, all those boys. So that's our first pack. Let me know if you want any of these cards. Comment below. Let me know if you want any of the cards, and I'll just do a giveaway. I like the James Toney card. I like the throwback Max Schmeling and Jack Johnson cards. And I definitely like the Alex Stewart card. So let me know. I have a whole pack here. And every so often on this channel, I'll be opening a pack. But that's what I think would happen to the heavyweight division. I think the heavyweight division, the athlete who would become a heavyweight boxer, that kid became a defensive lineman, a linebacker, maybe a power forward in the NBA, something like that. We lost those athletes who would be the baddest man on the planet to a different sport. The baddest man on the planet right now may be an outside linebacker for the Raiders. ShowBizz, don't. I'm out.